Hello, everyone. Andrew and Kelly here with part 4 of our multi-hour
Just gets a
look
little ridiculous
of
after a
all
while.
the movies we watched in July. Yes, welcome again to Monthly Movie Mini Reviews, the show where we stretch the definition of the word mini and mangle it beyond all recognition. But I'm highly confident that we will be able to get through the rest of our July picks or our July viewings in this episode because I only have 3 left. So, on July 25th, on Amazon Prime, I watched the 2021 movie from the United States, Jolt.
Jolt?
Jolt. Jolt. Jolt.
Oh, I understand the word you're saying. I don't think.
Jolt.
Jolt.
let me say it slower and louder. Jolt. Stars Kate Beckinsale and other people. Let's see, Jai Courtney's in it, but he dies, so not much.
Oh, that makes sense.
So you remember Bobby Carnival? You know who I'm talking about, right?
I do. I know exactly who that is, and I also am not sure how to pronounce his last name. He's with Rose Bryn. That's Byrne. See, I don't know her last name either. Is it Bryn? Is it Byrne? Brine?
Yeah,
I don't know. Anyways, yes, I know who he is.
So you remember the Jason Statham movies Crank?
I do.
It's kind of like that. Our hero has some type of neurological disorder where she gets uncontrollably angry at various stimuli and just beats the hell out of whatever's annoying her. So I like the movie.
I was gonna say, like, you in your chair. That's amazing.
Yeah, it was a very cathartic watch. I'm like, I get you. You me. So she has this experimental vest that she wears that gives her electric shocks that calm her down. So if she sees someone man spreading on a bus or snapping their gum or slurping their soup or spitting on the sidewalk or talking really loud on their cell phone, and she's like, she goes clunk and zap and gets a jolt. And she's like,
her own little morphine drip.
Yeah, she's like to keep her from beating the absolute hell out of everybody.
I love it.
Which of course keeps her at a distance from other people because other people just bug her something fierce.
Right.
So she goes on a blind date with Jai Courtney, and then she goes home and she sleeps with him and finds out that he has the best penis ever. So she is like, this is wonderful. My life is great now. Yay, penis. And then he's murdered by the mob, which pisses her off. And she's like, you know what? I'm not going to jolt. I'm going to go and beat the ever-loving hell out of the people that took away my penis. I mean, my boyfriend with the wonderful penis.
Right.
So
I only met him that night.
Who I met yesterday. That's right.
And when I'm not getting laid, I am really unpleasant.
I guess if that's what the Zappy vest actually is like, they ought to sell those because everyone would just be staying home. Click, 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 jolt, jolt, jolt.
Right.
I am okay with this. So the movie is just her tearing ass through the city, beating the snot out of everyone, trying to find her boyfriend's killer. And I didn't care how it ended because there's a twist that just kind of sucked to me. And it has the action is really poorly shot, unfortunately. But
was it Paul Greengrass? because
it's not, but it's kind of that thing where they're shaking the camera and zipping it all over the place, and you're like, I know someone's punching someone, and I'm enjoying Kate Beckinsale's posturing, and I'm enjoying what I think is happening, but it's really hard to see. Yeah. So the action isn't well shot, but the movie is genuinely funny. I laughed out loud several times. Laverne Cox is in it, and her. She is hilarious in this movie. Yeah? She is amazing in this. She plays one of Bobby Cannibal and Carnival, whatever his name is, Canaveral. Good old Bobby. She and he are the police peoples who are trying to chase down Kate Beckinsale and keep her from trashing the city. And so it's kind of a good cop, angry not taking this crap cop. Guess which one Laverne Cox plays. It's a lot of charisma. Oh, Stanley Tucci's in it. He plays her psychiatrist who chains her to a wall while he's fixing her vest so she can't throttle him in case she gets irritated at something. So it has the movie is, I don't like the ending. Its action is shot poorly, but it has a bunch of charismatic actors chewing up the scenery and being very, very funny. So for me, it was quite worth the watch. And if they wanted to crank out another one, a la Crank, I'd be like, okay.
Go right ahead. Cool. Excellent.
So what else did you see?
So I saw a movie called Monsters from 2010. It stars nobody that you know.
Wait, is that who directed it? I think I know this one.
Really, brother? Hold, please.
Gareth Edwards or something?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. It sucks. Yes, I've seen it. It's terrible. Okay. It's boring as hell.
I mean, yeah.
Am I wrong? Not that there's nothing to appreciate about the film. I just didn't enjoy it.
And that's the thing that upsets me. And you and I talk about this all the time. So Jeremy and I watched the trailer. And as everybody knows, we are still like very into our apocalyptic zombie-ish sort of like, genre going right now. We like it. Whoa, hi there. So it has a great premise. It's a good idea. These two, he's a photographer and he's in Mexico, and his employer's like, hey, my daughter's down there. You need to bring her to the US where there's safety because, this alien landing thing happened in Mexico and we need to get you guys the heck out of there so that, we can basically just put up a big ass wall so that these tentacled aliens, can't get in, which there's so many things wrong with that scenario, but that's okay.
I mean, when you finally see him at the end of the movie, you're like, oh, wall's not stopping that.
Ow! That's my foot. I'm sorry that I'm not playing with you, but like
that, Olivia.
She's very upset because she can't get her ball, which she has now put under my desk, and now that's my bad. So she's going to scratch at my foot until she gets her ball back. And so these people, they're just, he's kind of weird and she's kind of weird. And of course they kind of like shoehorn in a love story, which is not necessary because these people don't know each other. But she's engaged, by the way, but she's like, I don't know.
It was such an impactful love story. I don't even remember that part.
Yeah, they kiss each other at the end and then they get taken away. But like, I think that, and then of course, they're trying to get to the US and, he gets robbed. And so he doesn't have his passport. So then they need to find alternate transportation. And they, and as they're trying to go places, people will only take them so far because it's getting a little dangerous. And then roads are blocked and blah, blah, blah. And by the time they get to the US, the wall has been broken down and the aliens are there anyway. So it's like, well.
Oh, poop.
Dang it.
That was a big waste of time. And which honestly that's not the problem I have with the movie. I'm okay with endings like that.
No, I'm okay with endings like that too. Like, oh, they're already here. Like that kind of like they're already here. We're not safe. Like, because to be honest, like I think if a big tentacled monster landed anywhere on Earth, it's gonna figure out how to climb a wall and or tunnel under it or it's gonna find its way across oceans, over mountains. We are, and it's supposed to be a character piece, but you don't really characters.
That's the problem. It was obviously shot on a budget that did not allow them to show the monsters except for like one shot at the end of the movie, and that's okay. I can appreciate that, but so it's a as you said, it's a character piece. Yeah. Which doesn't work if you don't care about any of the characters, and I just didn't. I mean, the premise, as you said, the premise is fine. There are monsters and we've got to get from point A to point B without dying. Great. That's a workable premise. I'm with you. But even if you don't have the ability to show the monsters, you better make sure that your characters are maddeningly entertaining. Like if this were the cast of Jolt traipsing across, I would have had this would have been great with Laverne Cox yelling at Kate Beckinsale, with Bobby Cannibal trying to get it, like ladies please. That would have been great.
That's all we need. Just some more charismatic folk, please. But yeah, so anyway, so we saw that and it didn't quite fit what we were hoping for that evening.
Yeah. Well, at least it's implied that all these people die.
Yeah. At least we know they lost.
Yep.
All right. So what's your second one?
Rear Window.
Oh my God.
The Hitchcock one from 1954.
I have not seen it. Okay. Because it's not, is it on Criterion finally? No.
It's on, last I looked, it's on Amazon Prime.
Okay, then I'm gonna watch it immediately, because it's one of those that like we're always searching for it and we can never find it. But if it's on Amazon Prime, I'm all over it.
Yeah.
Even if you say bad things, because I just need to see it.
No. So no, you're aware of the setup, the premise of the film, right?
Yes.
Okay, so Guy is laid up in his apartment because he broke his leg. And so he whiles away the days. He's like a war photographer kind of action-y dude. He travels the world going into dangerous places and taking pictures of things. That's what he does. But he broke his damn leg, so he's laid up in his apartment, and all he does all day is just look out his rear window and watch what's going on with the neighborhood. So it's a tenement block that's his rear window faces the courtyard where there are the other buildings surrounding it. And so he just looks out his window into everyone else's window. Oh, Susan is doing jazzercise. Oh, Mr. McKibbleshnitz is arguing with the missus again. Oh, those
McKibbleshnitzes.
Oh, the McKibbleshnitzes. Yeah. Brenda's yappy dog is digging up Frederica's flower bed. bad muffins, bad muffins, it's that kind of thing. Yeah. And so one night he's snoozing by his back window and he wakes up and he sees something suspicious, which looks like it might be a murder. And so he tells all his friends, like the people who are coming in to check on him and help him make lunch and stuff like that, because he can't move much. And it's like, I saw something really weird, and I think Mrs. McKibbleshnitz may have been murdered. I think Mr. McKibbleshnitz killed her. And they're like, why do you think that? Well, because at 2 a.m, he walked out with a gigantic trunk, and then he came back an hour later, and the bed where Mrs. McKibbleshnitz has been laid up sick for the last week is completely empty. Where's Mrs. McKibbleshnitz? I think he murdered her. And so fun premise. It's entertaining. I love the set that they the whole courtyard and
that
the choreography that they came up with for just having all this action going on in the various apartment, really well done, really fascinating to watch. This is something that you might be able to do as a stage play. Have just if you had like a lot of room in a giant damn set and put your actors in a smallish set in the foreground, just with no walls or anything. I think that could really work as a stage play. I think that might be kind of cool.
I'm envisioning it, and yeah.
One thing I really like about the movie is what I was expecting was no one to believe Jimmy Stewart about. I think that my neighbor may have killed Mrs. McKibbleshnitz.
Right.
Everyone actually believes him, which is something I did not expect. I'm like, and they're all kind of into this. They're like, okay, we gotta follow. And if I remember correctly, I think Mr. McKibbleshnitz is Raymond Burr. So they're like, okay, girlfriend of mine who's 20 years younger. I mean, I love Grace Kelly, but there's like 2 decades between you two. The problem, okay, here's a problem I have with the movie. I'm not ageist, but Jimmy Stewart in this movie is well into his 40s. He's like probably later 40s in this one. They're treating him like he's Grace Kelly's age, mid 20s, like 25. And it's like, I'm sorry, I'm okay with these two being together, but Jimmy Stewart is not 25. He's 46, and he's clearly in a middle-aged man.
Yeah.
I'm not buying this whole, he's a rough and tumble god. No.
That's so I've seen like production stills, and I've seen like what he looks like, and I would never have assumed that they were trying to pass him off as anything but his age at that moment.
It feels like he's a lot younger than he's really supposed to be, and it doesn't work. But I do love how his girlfriend and his housekeeper lady who comes and fixes the meal and massages him and stuff like that, and his cop friend.
Is she anybody?
I
mean, I guess maybe at the time. Is she anybody that we know?
No, no one I recognized, at least not off the top of my head.
Yeah.
But I love the fact that especially the Grace Kelly and the housekeeper lady, not only do they believe him, but they're kind of into this. They're like, oh, we should like send a telegram to send him to meet somewhere else, and then while he's gone, sneak into his house. Oh, this is so exciting. I love how into this they all are.
That's awesome.
And I wouldn't say the ending works. It's a little goofy, but there is one really effectively tense bit at the very end of the movie. That's like Hitchcock firing on all cylinders. It's really well played. So I not perfect, but I really did enjoy the movie, and it does make me kind of want to check out some of the other versions of this film. I know there's a Christopher Reeve one that they did in the 90s at some point that I wouldn't mind seeing just to compare and contrast both.
There you go. And also they've remade it in that same scenario in so many ways. I know that Amy Adams is I haven't seen it, like The Woman in the Window or something strange like that, came out 2 or so years ago. I haven't seen it either.
Man, didn't they have a Shia LaBeouf kind of version, I think?
They may wait.
In the early 2000s, 2004, somewhere around there.
I feel like you're right. I don't know what it was called though. But yes,
I think it's based on this. I think that one is they go all over the place. This is a one location kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Huh.
But yeah, I forget what I don't remember if it's in July or if it was in June. I watched a Hitchcock movie that was like the worst Hitchcock movie that I'd ever seen. What was it? Oh, it's next month. It's next month. We'll get into that next month.
Very exciting.
But a movie that's if I'm remembering correctly, it's Hitchcock, and it's
not your cup of tea.
Yeah, it's the worst Hitchcock movie I've ever seen. I've not seen his entire oeuvre, but I've seen a good number of his work, and oh man, it's bad. But we'll save that for next month or the August video.
There you go.
All right.
Okay.
Next.
So my final one is we watched the Zack Snyder cut of
Justice League.
That's the one. Thank you. That's the one.
Now, did you see the theatrical cut of Justice League?
Yes. So I saw the theatrical cut of Justice League.
I've seen neither.
And I think if
you
I'm
have
not
HBO
mistaken,
Max?
Huh?
You have HBO Max?
That is correct.
Okay.
So I could be incorrect. I forget what order we watched it in. I think we watched original. I think we watched the theatrical release again and then watched the Zack Snyder
director cut. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And what I will say is that I enjoy the underlying story from the Zack Snyder cut more, as in like the characters feel more real. The order of Ben Affleck going at
is the story different between the two cuts, or is it just told better in the new
told
cut?
Better?
Okay,
it's told better. Okay, no, the story is the same. It's just told better, and they kind of reorganize some of the interactions so that interactions feel deeper and the people feel and you understand, and like he being Ben Affleck, like I was saying, spends a lot more time in the little village trying to recruit Aquaman than in the theatrical cut, which we all know, which he goes there and he laughs at him and he's like, hey, come, and he's like, all right, I'm gonna jump into the sea backwards and then I'll see you in Gotham, Metropolis, wherever this is taking place. And so I mean it does have
I'm gonna catch a fish Uber. I'm gonna catch a fish Uber.
Yeah, there are some moments that I miss. Like I really the theatrical opening had my favorite Batman, come at me, bro. Saying, like having that guy up on the roof and holding him there, and he's like, what do you want from me? And he's like, fear. And then the little fear monsters come and he shoots one and everything. Like that's how it started. That scene is not in the Zack Snyder cut. And I'm like, oh, but Ben Affleck's so sexy when he goes, fear. It's just one line with sex. So anyways, the problem with the 4-hour plus opus from Mr. Snyder is that
4+ hours.
Well, and I don't even mind long movies. I mean, The Two Towers is my favorite movie of all time. That's 3 hours, and then you give me some extended cuts, and I'm like, I'm in. Just give me more hobbits.
More of what I like. More of what I need.
He lingers painfully on things. Like it's so. I mean, there are times that I'm like, okay, you can cut.
Isn't this cool? Yes.
Okay.
No, you don't understand. Isn't this cool?
You
Look
really
at it.
Yeah, it's
shot has been established.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like
I'm gonna establish the shit out of this shot.
And in both intro and outro for shots, like, and that's the thing is I've seen moments that they're supposed, like in movies, that you want it to be realistic and you want it to be deliberate and you want to really see the mundane, or you want to watch and there's a pacing and there's an understanding, but it's done in a way that you're like not trying to be like, okay, my God, just move on to the scene, or it starts being uncomfortable because you're like, there's no more for me to get from this. Like my emotion, you've already tapped into the emotion, the feeling, like everything that I'm supposed to have felt from the scene, it has been felt. Now, instead of like enhancing it, you're just making me forget all of it, because now I'm like uncomfortably watching this woman just look out into the sea and like ululate. How do you say that word? She's like ululating, yodeling. It's another word. Ululation. It's
she's yodeling?
But yodeling's not the word. It's a ululation. Look up the word.
Is it derived from uvula?
No.
I don't know what word you're going for.
Oh, you late.
She's ululating. Okay. Just ululating all over the place, all over the floor, all over the walls. It's disgusting.
It means howl or wail as an expression of strong emotion, typically grief.
Okay.
So
I don't think that's a word I know. All right.
Well, now you know it.
How is it spelled?
Exactly how it's pronounced. Ululate. ULULATING or ATE. Ululate.
Ululate.
Okay,
to utter a loud, usually protracted, high-pitched, rhythmical sound, especially as an expression of sorrow, joy, celebration, or reverence, or howl. That's it. How is it? Ululate.
Ululate.
I take it that's one of those words that you know because you've seen it written down, but you've never heard anyone actually say before.
Yes.
Yeah, ululate.
But I know the word. Like I'm aware.
I'm impressed.
So, anyways, she's going, oh yeah, and she just as Aquaman goes in the water, and like she does an entire song, and you're just sitting there.
She calling fish or something?
She's holding a goat, or the goat is near her. There's a goat in the scene.
And the goat is like, stop.
There's several scenes like that, and it ruins the flow, and it makes you almost like, wait, you've taken me out of it. I've now forgotten a little, and it happens in the lighting of the beacons is another scene where you're just like, oh my God, just freaking fire the arrow and light to let her know that badness is coming or whatever. So they do the Two Towers thing where they light the fires to call on Gondor. Yeah, and so, but like it's so there's a whole,
which is 30 seconds.
There's a whole procession and a whole it's an actual ceremony, and I'm like, the people that you're supposed to be warning have died now. So and by the way, you're all precise and you know exactly where. How many times have you held the ceremony? Because this is obviously rehearsed.
You guys drill this stuff, don't you?
You like do you rehearse this every day? Like, to me, if you're gonna fire a warning beacon, someone's gonna go shit, and then just like grab some fire and start chucking arrows. I know that's not. I mean, maybe you should do that. Maybe you never get them if you just chuck them.
It's like no, use the bow, dumbass. Oh yeah.
Try a bow, Eisen. You're like, no.
Oh, they do go further.
That's incredible. I should have tried that long ago. So it's Avengers. Imagine if Hawkeye's bow snaps and he just starts chucking arrows at people. It's like, I don't need no bow. He's like, I'm immensely good at darts too. Can you imagine an Avenger that just has darts?
Bullseye ain't got shit on me.
Oh my God, it's so good. So anyways, do I recommend it in a way? Like, yes, because it's, I mean, I want to watch all of I'm more of a Marvel girl than a DC one, and I don't know why. I think that they have I just think that,
well, because the movies average better.
Yeah, they're better.
Granted, there's more of them.
So many more of them. They have missed the mark on a lot of DC movies. I did enjoy how this one set up the conflict and all of that, and it's great, but it really does over luxuriates, kind of like us in these mini reviews, and that
mini reviews 15 minutes later. That's my mini review.
Mini reviews.
What's funny is because I see things on like The Escapist has their 3-minute reviews for video games, and a lot of times they're 4 minutes. I'm like, getting all surly. That's not a 3-minute review. That's 3 minutes and 47 seconds, sir.
Yep.
So All right. Last movie, and then we're done with July's monthly movie mini reviews.
Yay!
The Boy Behind the Door.
I love the name.
So there's this
Sounds
door,
like awesome name.
and behind it is a boy, right? Okay, so this is a horror suspense movie that I watched on Shudder. It came out last year. Two kids get kidnapped and try to escape their kidnapper. That's the premise of the movie.
Brilliant.
What I really like is the movie does not waste any time on setup. The two kids get abducted like 6 minutes into the movie. I mean, it hits the ground running. So you have two friends, and these kids are probably 12, 13, maybe 14. They're young kids. And both kids, great performers, did not have a problem with either kid in this movie. They both did great. Another pretty much single location film. It takes place in and around one house where they get taken. So they're both, doing the friend thing, just playing catch and talking about, you know what, I want to move to LA and I want you to come with me. I'd love to come with you because we're best buddies and I'd never abandon you.
Famous last words. Like if someone said that to me, like if I was doing something like, by the way, I would, if we were ever in this situation that, we needed our lives, if we were hanging off the end of the cliff, I would definitely bring you up. I'd be like, oh, that means that this is going to happen and you're going to drop me.
Like, so 6 minutes in, they get abducted. They get, smacked in the bonds and thrown into the trunk of a car.
Yep.
And one of them gets yanked out of the car, and our camera stays on the kid who's stuck in the car, who finally kicks the trunk open, finds himself in like the like a separate garage away from the main house. So he thinks about running, and then they do the hostile thing where he can hear his buddy yelling, no, please, I want my mommy, that kind of thing. And he's like, flashing back to 3 minutes earlier, I would never abandon you. It's like, shit. So we have one kid who's definitely kidnapped, the other kid who the kidnapper thinks is still tied up in the trunk of the car. And the other kid but the kidnapper does not know that the second kid is free and is wandering around the house, right, trying to, one, not get caught, and two, find a way to break his friend out so they can escape. And there's a few bits in the film that aren't believable, that strain credulity, and it's missing a few establishing shots, like when he breaks out of the trunk of the car and is running through the field. There isn't he's kind of doing this where he's like, and the camera's panning around him as he's looking around, but it's this tight close-up, so I can't see what the hell he's seeing.
Oh, that's
and
nice.
Later, when he finds a phone and he's calling the police, it's like, yeah, I'm on this house in the middle of nowhere, and there's some oil drilling, drinking bird looking oil drilly things, but you never really got a good look at that. You never got to see what he saw because the camera was just up in his grill the entire time. So that's unfortunate. Although I will say that although it's missing a few establishing shots, you are never confused about the geography of the house itself.
Oh, that's nice.
It's incredibly well shot, to the point where I watched this on July 29th. It's currently September 5th as we record this. Even now, I could probably draw a pretty accurate floor plan of that two-story house.
That's fantastic.
That's how well that film is shot.
That's like a pet peeve of mine, when I don't understand how someone got somewhere or how a room connects, and not even like just in a horror movie, like in a movie in general. There are times that you're like, wait, how did they hear that? I thought they were upstairs. Oh, it's a loft. Oh, you've never actually, just, or whatever the reasoning is.
One of my favorite examples is the first Purge movie. I have no idea how the geography of that house works, which is really important for a home invasion movie.
Yeah.
It's kind of important to like, I don't know where anyone is in relation to anyone else.
Yeah.
I need to blow my nose. Hang on.
Okay.
So yeah, the first purge, very important that you understand the geography of the home, but you don't. I have no idea how any of these rooms connect or if the bad guys are anywhere close to where the good guys are. But in Boy Behind the Door, you always know where everyone is and where they are in relation to each other. It's really well done.
That's awesome.
It's well paced. It's appropriately tense. It is the child actors again do a wonderful job. It is a solid little thriller. I liked it.
Nice. How did you hear? I didn't like. Did you just?
I was just browsing Shudder and saw it, and I said, "Well, this looks interesting."
Oh, I like it.
You know, that is a lot of times how I will. I had never heard of this particular movie before, but a lot of times I will just say, "Well, that looks interesting. Let's give that a try." It's fun watching a movie that I know almost nothing about and I've never heard of. I don't know what I'm getting into.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Usually, when I watch a movie, I'm pretty familiar. I could probably map out what the basic beats of the film are. I bet I could at least figure out the first and third acts of Shang-Chi just from the marketing.
Sure.
But
doesn't mean it's not good though.
Oh, absolutely not. But I have a pretty solid idea of what I'm getting into when I watch it. Boy Behind the Door, I knew it was a thriller about kids who are kidnapped. I'm like, yeah, okay, let's give this a try. Usually when I'm putzing around the Criterion collection, the movie's been around for 70 years or whatever, so I've probably heard of it. I'm at least vaguely familiar with it. Like I don't know what a Rear Window, although that wasn't Criterion collection. I had heard of the movie. I knew what the basic premise was. But even then, I was surprised that there goes Olivia. But I was surprised that most of the characters in the movie actually not only believe. I thought it was going to be, you were half asleep. You don't know. They're all like, oh, dude, really? Oh, dude, I'm into this. Let's go. Yeah. So pretty great.
Huge. That's huge because I would have totally expected it to go the other way.
Okay. So from the movies you saw in July.
Yes.
What would you most recommend?
I would most recommend Tenet.
The Christopher Nolan one, right?
Yes, the Christopher Nolan one. Because of all the movies that I watched, that one I think would be the first one that I would go back to, which is actually an absolute lie. The first one I'll go back to is Cruella, only because the kids and Jeremy haven't seen it and they're gonna want to watch it. But that has. We
talked about Cruella, I think, last in part 3. And we recorded part 2 and 3 at the same time. So it was one of those. Right after I posted that video, Cruella went off of Premiere Access on Disney Plus. And I was like, oh, I should watch that. And then I saw it was 2 hours and 16 minutes. I'm like, why is it 2 hours and 16 minutes?
Yeah.
And then I didn't watch it.
Yeah. I mean, definitely watch it. But I mean, but I definitely want to watch it again. And I definitely think that if you are a fan of Christopher Nolan, if you're a fan of Christopher Nolan, you're going to like it. Like, let's be quite clear. If you enjoyed Inception, if you enjoy the way that this man tells stories, then you're going to enjoy this movie. If you hate Christopher Nolan, I also think you might not like this. But like, if you're interested, like if you liked Memento, if you liked those really, like, not just because it's out of order, but like, there's a lot. The
non-sequential storytelling thing.
Like a puzzle type movie that until you don't know, like The Matrix. And I mean, that's the type of movie this is.
So it presents things that recontextualize what you've thus far seen.
Exactly.
Cool.
Like, so when you actually hit that point, and it's brilliantly done, because there are times like in the first half of the movie that you're watching and you see things that you don't quite understand, and you're kind of like, your mind realizes that you don't understand it, but then you just kind of go with it and you're like, well, that was an odd choice. that's not what I expected. Okay. But you move on with it because you're like, whatever, I'm not the choice I would have made, but whatever. And then you move on and you, when it backtracks everything, you're like, oh my God, it all makes sense now. And I don't know how it makes sense because I can't explain it. So anyway, but I really liked it. I do definitely want to watch it again. It is long-ish. So it is going to be one of those, I have to set out time. Definitely when you see it, set out the time to see it. This is not a movie to pause or pick up like Zack Snyder's Justice League. I'm not gonna lie when I say I did not watch it in one sitting, but that's one that we know the content. So you can pause it, go to sleep, move on with your day and watch the second, make it like 2-hour movies type of thing. This one really, the
Zack Snyder one, it has like chapter breaks, I think, right?
Yeah, it has weird title chapter breaks. I'm like, whoa, why is that? I didn't like that part, but yeah, it does have breaks at least that you can go to. But anyway, so I recommend Tenet. Watch it at once, and then watch it again.
Okay.
There you go.
So, any movie that you would recommend people skip?
Yeah, The Lie.
The Lie, huh?
So frustrating.
Now I remembered this after we talked about it, but that was from the Blumhouse collection of, I think it was like 4 films that released that year, The Lie and like 3 other horror films by different people, because they're doing that again this year.
Do you know what the other films were in that?
I'd have to look it up, but
I wonder if I'll talk while you look it up, because
okay.
It's just, to me, there's nothing like being frustrated, like bad frustration, like, oh my gosh, like I can't handle stupidity when it is trying to be pulled off like we're making intelligent decisions. And I know that is the worst thing that I could say, because the thing about every movie is like, people have made a bad decision. It's not about making bad decisions. I make bad decisions daily. I thought that You Late was you late. So like, I just, making bad decisions is one thing, but just having someone like Muriel Enos, who is this lawyer and badass businesswoman, be just so stupid. You're just like, that does not, like, the characters don't compute. Nothing makes sense. You guess the ending early, and it's still, even as you are trying to make it work in your mind, because I sometimes do that with movies, and we'll talk about that when we talk about August, is I'm like, you know what, I'm just gonna make this work for myself so that I can deal with it, and that I can make, I'm just gonna make
this
it work.
This doesn't work. Head canon engage.
But it doesn't. There's not, you spend more time in your head trying to like retcon everything. It's just a frustrating movie, and you end it and you're like, the only satisfaction you got is that now it's over. So so skip it. It's not, there's so many other movies that Muriel and Peter Sarsgaard are in that are so much better. So if you need to get those people, like, you're like, I want to watch a movie with them in it, go somewhere else.
Yeah, so that was it was originally a Toronto Film Fest thing, but then it was included in what was billed as the Welcome to the Blumhouse, which was an anthology series of 4 films from last year, which included The Lie, Black Box, Evil Eye, and Nocturne. And they're doing that again this year with 4 new movies, one of which is called Bingo Hell, which apparently is horrible things happen at a bingo hall. And the old people have to fight it off. Black as Night, Madres, and The Manor.
So then, the way that you explained that at the beginning, though, so was this a movie at the Toronto Film Festival that then Blumhouse
picked up, I believe, yeah.
So these were separate movies that weren't supposed, like, they were just,
as far as I know, they were, at least for the first one, they weren't, I think they were curated for the collection. I don't think it was made specifically for this anthology series, like the Etheria movie night stuff. I think those are made or submit. There's like a bunch of them that are submitted, and the winners get collected into the movie night thing. So I think this was just films that Blumhouse purchased from film festivals and then put them under a single banner.
And now the new ones they're kind of making.
I'm not really sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd have to look into the history of each movie. It could be a mix.
No need. Okay, your turn, brother.
All right.
So what movie are you recommending?
I would recommend the Fear Street trilogy. I really got a kick out of this thing, and I don't think it's an instant classic like Halloween, Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th, that or even Child's Play or Hellraiser. If there are no more Fear Street movies, I don't think these will be remembered in that kind of a company. But I still really got a kick out of what it was doing, and I hope I see more. I really like the idea of a horror movie cinematic universe where if they do another slate of Fear Street films, they could do it in a different neighborhood, somewhere else in Shadyside. They could do it in a different time. It could be, Fear Street 1990, where we might run into younger versions of the cast of this film, or it could go back to the 50s and follow the Ruby Lane killer that's referenced and pops up in these movies, or it could be completely different. It's fun how it's like, oh, hey, new Spider-Man movie. Oh, there's Doctor Strange. Because he lives in New York too. So hi, Stephen. Hi, Peter. And you could do that with a new Fear Street movie. It follows completely different cast, completely different thing going on, but you may run into Sheriff Good, for example, because he's still the sheriff of the town. Oh, okay, I think that's really neat. So a lot of that is just the neat potential here. But while it's true that I did a lot, especially the first two movies, have a bit of trouble getting on board with the characters. They took a good hour or more for me to actually warm up to and give a damn about them. They made it eventually, but it took a while. Okay. And sometimes the editing and the music kind of gets in the way of the movie. It's like, this is 90s. Hear all the 90s music and the way we're editing it. It's 90s. Do you get that? It's 90s. It's like, I got that. It's 90s. Jeez. Yeah. It does that a little bit. 1666 doesn't have that problem. Not surprising. It's like, well, we didn't have a lot of music from 1666 that we could license.
They just have a woman in the background with a goat ululating.
That's right, goat lady. But I really enjoyed the mythology and world building of these movies. They were paced really well, and they kept adding new twists and turns and tidbits to the mythology that were that did recontextualize what the way you looked at things before, and it was a fun experiment that I think with a few caveats, I think succeeded, and I like what it did, and I would love to see more.
Cool. Do you know anything about, is this a plan? Like, do you know anything?
I know that Allison Janiak, whatever her name is, that directed all these movies, is interested in I saw some interviews with her, and it seems she's gung-ho that she'd like to do more. So watch them on Netflix so that I can see more and to make it more likely that more come along the line and make me happy, because it's all about me.
It is.
But they could definitely make more Fear Street movies, and they could do anything. They could use some of these characters again or not. They could do it in this time period, or really any time period. They've set up a bunch of serial killers throughout the history of Shadyside that they could really jump into any time period they want and have an interesting movie. So yeah, there's a lot of potential there, and I hope they attempt to fill it.
Cool. Cool. That sounds exciting.
Yeah.
I'll have to get Jeremy on board. I don't think that'll be hard though.
So as far as movie that I would say skip, it comes down to me. It came down choosing between Mandy, which I did not know that was produced by your boy Elijah Wood.
When I saw that, I was like, no.
I was like, really? Google. Oh, he did. How about that? Yeah. So to me, it's between Mandy and Death Takes a Holiday.
Yeah.
And I keep going back and forth on which one I would say skip, because Mandy has a bunch of, there are some interesting things to look at. Like some of the performances are kind of fascinating. I mean, Nick Cage is always interesting to watch. The woman who plays his wife is interesting to watch. I'm not sure who she is. The dude who plays the cult leader is got a really interesting performance going on. It's not compelling, but it's interesting choices by working actors that I kind of enjoy. The battle axe that he builds is really neat looking. There's blood.
Love that.
Nick Cage is, trussed up with barbed wire and has to watch his wife burn to death in a burlap sack. That's a thing.
Yeah.
There are leather fetish motorcycle demons who like watching porn. That's a thing. There's decapitations. There's a lot of red gels.
This is
on the
all
lights.
Sounding great.
Yeah. But it didn't work is the problem. It's kind of boring.
Right.
So it's got a lot of neat stuff in it, but I didn't feel it actually coalesced into a good movie. I found it rather dull. Whereas Death Takes a Holiday has a really interesting premise that it doesn't do anything interesting with. In fact, it just kind of ignores the implications of its own premise to do a very trite, rote, bog standard boy meets girl, instantly falls in love, and they must run off together, even though that's really not in the best interests of anybody involved. And they've known each other for a grand total of like 3 minutes.
Right.
That's a movie we've seen a million times. It actually kind of reminds me of The Purge, where it has this really amazing premise of the Purge itself, which is this really interesting idea, and it's just a home invasion movie. The Purge is really just a backdrop to a really bog standard, rote, trite home invasion movie. So it's between those two. So which one do I go with? Because the Death Takes a Holiday doesn't show you anything interesting, even though it could.
Mm-hmm.
While Mandy shows you interesting things, but in a way that didn't particularly engage or entertain me. So I decided to go with Mandy because I feel that while Death Takes a Holiday doesn't show you anything interesting, it still meets its intention. Death Takes a Holiday didn't intend to show you anything interesting as a consequence of its premise. It does exactly what it set out to do. Just boy falls in love with girl who he sees and they run off together, even though that's not in the best interests of anybody. That's what they wanted to do. And by gum, that's what they did, which is disappointing because it's not very interesting. Mandy, on the other hand, showed what it intended. I just didn't find it that interesting. Deliver. Yeah, it didn't deliver in an entertaining or compelling way. Although I would definitely, I know you're going to watch it at some point.
I know. I have to.
I'm really interested to see what your take on the movie is. I read some reviews and it does work for other people. It just didn't work for me. But so yeah, I would give it to Mandy as the film I would skip.
All right.
Although
Sounds
if you
good.
are a fan of red gels,
yeah, well, and
this
that's
has
the thing
red
that I
gels
find
in
so funny.
abundance.
Even the poster it's just this red, which is how I knew that it was the same movie, because they showed the poster when he was talking about it, and he's like, Mandy, and I'm like, that is the reddest thing I've ever seen. I know exactly what movie this is. Unfortunately.
Speaking of red gels and Nick Cage, I really want to watch that movie Color Out of Space. I think that's more pink than or purple than red, but apparently it's about I don't know, an alien invasion monster that makes people go nuts or something. I don't know. It's also on Shudder. I want to watch that at some point. So
I've always enjoyed the take on the body snatchers, all the different body snatcher type incarnations, as we've talked in a previous video.
I don't know if it takes over anyone's bodies. I think it just like causes weird body horror stuff to happen or something like that, or makes people go insane. It's like, a pink blob that's Cthulhu lands and everyone who looks at it just goes nuts or starts hallucinating or something. Not terribly sure, but I'll check it out at some point.
Well, I can't wait to hear about it.
All right. So that is it. We are finally done with our monthly movie mini reviews for the month of July. Our August movies, we might actually be able to get done in one video, because I only saw 6 movies that month, and I think you saw 4.
I think it was 4.
So I may end up splitting it into 2, depending on how verbose we are. But we shall see. Until then, though, I'm Andrew.
I'm Kelly.
And we hope you've enjoyed our monthly movie mini reviews and are looking forward to our reviews for the films we watched in August. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.